I've been dealing with distributed systems of lots of different kinds for about 10 years now. I think I've been dealing with, I was somewhere between 2008, 2009, I was aware of Bitcoin. Probably like 2011, I started doing a little bit of mining here and there. But that all kind of led me to getting together with some like-minded individuals and founding Polyn8 Inc. And the reason we founded Polyn8 Inc. is because we believed that we could solve a lot of the issues in the public and private sectors of American society today with blockchain technology. We believe it's our mission here to educate people about blockchain, to advocate for its adoption in all of our society. There's lots of different things it's going to do for us. So, blockchain, we've been talking about it. We had the beginners class here. At the end of the day, it's an open, decentralized digital ledger. It serves a foundation for us to do peer-to-peer exchanges. And it's going to be the thing that finally takes trust and takes it from an ideal that we talk about to a real tangible system that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. Some of the applications, like your civil applications, who are you? We can establish identity based upon that. It goes to wallets, the things we can tie to wallets. We have things in government like your voting records, your DMV records, IRS. These are things that we can start to unify who you are relative to these agencies and not have to have disparate systems all storing random data and this one gets hacked into or that one, and we can make one unified secure system. And we can use it in the health industry too. We're working on an application called Pulse, lofty goal, but we think we can do some good there in the health industry.
Good name.
We thought so.
Yeah.
So, but before we can really start to solve a lot of these things, we have some issues in our community. And one of the largest things that we have is the community needs education. And groups like this are fantastic for that. We can really get to every level of society, bring people together, whether they're developers, whether they're brand new. We can start to educate them, because if we don't educate people, it doesn't matter what we as developers make with blockchain. It's meaningless if people don't know what it is and why you can use it. So we really need to make sure that we as developers have an attitude where we're not thinking we've reached the end of what blockchain is and we're going to start setting standards, but rather we need to figure out where it's going and have an attitude to really cultivate more innovation. We need more people from outside of our industry to get into this and start developing, making hardware. So right now, one of the biggest problems that we see is there is no bridge between the physical world that you and I walk in and the blockchain. And so we're proposing that we make an internet of blockchain things. This would be, if you walk up to a soda machine, for instance, and you want to go buy a soda. Right now we put a coin into it, and it dispenses our soda. But one of the things that I think we can do with Internet of Blockchain things is you walk up to that, and instead of putting a coin into it, we could just transact with it with our wallets and set up a transaction. And that thing there that managed the connection between your wallet, verification of payment, and actually dispensing your soda is that piece of hardware that the Internet of Blockchain will start to address. Other bigger things, I saw Bloomberg recently talking about smart contracts and how we can apply that to, oil
drilling platform.
Oil drilling platforms and the maintenance there. They were saying that, if you look at the seismic data and all these wonderful things, we will know when there's a problem and we'll have a smart contract deploy a maintenance crew, come out and do the maintenance. That's great. But the smart contract itself doesn't do that. It's a piece of code living in a blockchain. It can't get out there. It doesn't read sensor data. It doesn't interact with it. It doesn't get to the real world. So right there is where you need a device that's going to read seismic data. It's going to do the analysis on it, probably use machine learning and some other things. Look at your environmental data, your temperatures, your fluid flows, etc. And it'll start to determine, hey, you're going to have a problem here, and then it can actually interact with a smart contract and then send a crew out. So Debra is one of the products that we're unveiling. It's the bridge between you and the blockchain. Now, this particular thing here is the Debra Aleph series. It is something that we made for a need to manage our Bitcoin mining infrastructure. You know, it's kind of cumbersome when you have to sit there, you have to look at, you know, what's going on in your pool, you make sure it's all running, you have to go and log into your miners, check temperatures, and you have to do all this manually. Well, with Deborah here, we're able to look at all that with our network monitor, as well as control power, measure power, control your fans, control temperature through fans, and be reading all of this. And that's what the Deborah Aleph series here is, a prototype to kind of demonstrate some of the basic capabilities there. And we're actually already working on the next design. We're going to be calling that the BET series. That's going to take some of the things we learned from this prototype here, advance them, and improve the interface, etc.
What are some of its features?
Right. So the Aleph series right now is currently switching. That one right there will be able to handle about 50 kilowatts of power. I think that boils out to, how many S9s is that?
30 to 40.
About 30, 40?
20 something.
Yeah, about 20 something I think is what we were coming to. But that'll handle about 20 S9s. And then it's networked. It'll expand out to more modules, and you can manage entire farms of S9s.
Or anything.
Yeah, and this is just one thing that we're doing in the Internet of Bitcoin, blockchain things. And it's the first, and I think that
that series.
right. So the yeah,
Features of that.
that's going to be what we learn after this, and some other things that we're incorporating in. Any questions?
How do you guys handle security with that? Because that's technically IoT is exposed to a lot of DDoS attacks, and usually any IoT device gets set up on the network will be hacked within 53 seconds. How do you guys help prevent that from happening?
Well, when you're dealing with control applications and critical infrastructure, one of the first things is, of course, managing your network. So you have to firstly know what network you're on. So before you even get to the general internet with this thing, you're already behind several firewalls. And of course, that doesn't address the issue of DDoS and all this. So we have some authentication in place to make sure that who's talking to this device is actually one of our system devices. So we have credentials being exchanged between the two systems, the network manager and this device here. And then it's really up to the user. So if you're managing this, personally, I would never put this on a general internet. My personal thing. What I would do instead is I'd be hosting my own private control networks, and then having specific access in place for what can and cannot get out to general internet. You don't ever want this on a general internet, because that's just your first security flaw.
So the thing is, when it comes to individuals setting it up at home, right? I'm guessing that's what you're targeting.
Well, with this one, absolutely not. There's no way that a person at home is going to do a 50 kilowatt installation.
Okay.
Now that is valid though, because we are eventually thinking to get this down into smaller levels, and so that's a more important thing, and that's why we're starting with this prototype of big industrial applications, where the scope of what's accessing you is a little bit more limited, so we can kind of test what we're doing before we just go and just give everyone one of these in our homes, and the next thing you know, we have fire. What was one of the Die Hard movies more recently, where they were just controlling cars and mayhem was occurring.
So, what is the product? Is this an ICO, or is this like a blockchain, or what is it? What is this? Is this hardware, or what is this exactly?
Hardware.
So we're addressing a lot of things, but this thing particularly here is hardware. We're selling hardware products and hardware solutions to not so much. This particular product isn't actually touching the blockchain itself. This is more working with the blockchain to make it so blockchain is something that you interact with in your real life, as opposed to I can send tokens and smart contracts, and that's all great, but you need to be able to actually get to the real world.
So if I was, as a miner, if I wanted to buy this is like something I would buy as an add-on to like my farm or something like
Yes.
that.
Right. Specifically to manage your farm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this helps miners manage their farms. How come you never said that until now?
Because we're waiting for the question.
Come on!
There's that.
We're trying. We're thinking. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there, man. I'm not.
You
It was supposed to.
you said that you developed some apps too, correct? You said that you are developing some apps as well?
Pulse.
Yes, correct.
Yes, we are. So Pulse is what we're doing with Pulse is we're actually managing patient opinions, and so we're putting that up on an open system so that people can start to effectively like Yelp rate your healthcare provider is what that's going to be aimed toward.